We found a camera in the mirror of the Airbnb. The owner said it was for security. My name is Laura, and I'm 27 years old. I've always been the kind of person who looks for a way to escape the routine, even if it's just for a weekend. That's why when Sophia, my best friend, came up with the idea of renting an Airbnb in a rural area near the lake, I didn't hesitate for a second. We were going to celebrate her birthday, just the two of us.
Peace, wine,
And fresh air. The cabin looked perfect in the photos. Rustic wood, stone fireplace, huge windows facing a dense forest. It wasn't exactly cheap, but we split the cost. It was the kind of place you see on Pinterest with white sheets and handwoven quilts, surrounded by silence. The arrival was smooth. The host, Hugo, wasn't there in person. He sent us a code for the digital lock. We didn't even have to run into anyone, which seemed ideal to us. We arrived Friday evening, just as the sun was setting behind the mountains. Everything seemed perfect. The first night was normal. We ate pasta with cheap wine, laughed until late remembering stories from school, and took dozens of silly pictures in our pajamas by the fireplace. Sophia showered first and jokingly told me the bathroom mirror gave her bad vibes. It was large, rectangular, hanging over the sink. She said there was something odd about it, that she didn't like how it reflected her. Bad vibes how? I asked. I don't know. Like it's not just a mirror. I laughed because Sophia is the more fearful of the two of us. She's the one who sleeps with the door locked and a chair wedged against it. It seemed exaggerated to me, but the next day I noticed the same thing. I was brushing my teeth in front of that mirror and felt this strange discomfort, like someone else was there, just behind the reflection. I tried to laugh at myself, shook my head, and looked again.
but no.
There was something off. My reflection had a slight delay. A microsecond, almost imperceptible. It wasn't a light glitch. It was as if it wasn't a real mirror. I called Sophia. Look at this, I told her. We made slow hand movements. We talked. We jumped. But the reflection was strange. Not exactly out of sync, but there was a feeling. An absence. Like we weren't alone. What if it's a fake mirror? She suddenly said. A fake mirror how? Glass, Laura. The kind that's a mirror on one side and a window on the other. Like in interrogation rooms. What if there's a camera? A chill ran down my spine. We didn't laugh this time. I searched on my phone how to identify a two-way mirror. One of the most common tests was to place your fingernail against the glass. If there's a gap between your nail and its reflection, it's a regular mirror. If they touch, it could be a fake glass. We placed our fingers close. No gap. We looked at each other. We were both pale. Sophia was breathing fast. What do we do? I'm going to message the guy. I opened the app. I texted Hugo. Hi, we have a question. The bathroom mirror seems to have a camera or something strange. Can you confirm if there's any surveillance system? 5 minutes later, he replied. Hi, Laura. The mirror has a hidden security system. It's just as a precaution, in case something gets damaged or broken. It's never used unless there's an incident. It's deactivated. I mention it in the security section of the listing. We checked the listing. Nothing. Not a single word. Liar. Sophia shouted, throwing the phone on the couch. I felt my stomach twist. By that point, we didn't know if someone had already been watching us. If someone had already seen us. Staying in that place another night was unthinkable, but it was almost midnight outside. And we had no way to leave. Should we cover it with something? I suggested. We grabbed a towel. We taped it over the mirror using adhesive tape we found in a drawer. It was ridiculous, but it made us feel slightly safer. That night, we didn't sleep well. Every time we closed our eyes, any creak startled us. I swear I heard footsteps. Sophia said she felt someone's eyes on her. We barely slept 2 hours. At 5 in the morning, we packed our bags. Before leaving, I took pictures of the mirror. I wanted proof. Something told me this wasn't right. That it wasn't just a security measure. I recorded a video. I used the flash. And there in the reflection, right in the center, was a tiny black, the size of a pinhead.
Round.
Perfectly centered. A camera. A damn camera. We got home that same morning. The city welcomed us with heavy, gray rain. We barely spoke the whole way. As soon as we arrived, Sophia went straight to her room and locked herself in. I, on the other hand, started investigating. That black dot on the mirror was identical to that of a pinhole camera. Not only that, I found forums talking about Airbnbs with hidden cameras. Some legal, others not. Some in smoke detectors, in lamps, in clocks, and in mirrors. I messaged Hugo again. This time more directly. The camera in the mirror isn't mentioned in the listing. That's illegal. I want it removed immediately and any recordings erased. This is very serious. He replied 2 hours later. Sorry for the misunderstanding. The camera is deactivated. There are no recordings. The only purpose is to prevent theft or damage to the furniture. If it makes you uncomfortable, I can offer a partial refund, not a real apology. Not a convincing explanation. Just evasiveness. And indifference. Partial refund, as if a sorry could fix the fact that someone might have images of us undressed, dancing, sleeping, using the bathroom. I called Sophia. She didn't answer. I went to her apartment. She didn't want to open the door. I spoke to her from the hallway. I told her we had to report this, that we couldn't stay silent. After several minutes, she opened the door. She was pale, with red eyes. I don't want to talk to anyone, she said. Her voice was like paper. Sophie, we can't let this go. I don't know if I can handle this. I felt something break inside me. She had been the most affected. At least I could rationalize, investigate. But her, Sophia, was shattered. The idea of being watched, exposed, violated had destroyed her. That night, I received a message from an unknown number. It's not in your best interest to get involved in things you don't understand. Leave it alone. I froze. No profile picture. No name, just that, a message, and the most terrifying silence I've ever felt in my life. The following days were a mix of anxiety, paranoia, and rage. Who else had been involved? Was it just Hugo, or were there more people behind this? Where were those recordings? Had they been shared? Sold? The question suffocated me. I made a post in a local forum. I shared the basics: an Airbnb with a hidden camera, no consent, no warning. No details. Just a warning. The post lasted 3 hours before it was deleted. My account was blocked. After that, my phone started ringing with missed calls. Then, someone knocked on my door at 3 in the morning. There was no one. And then something else happened. A woman messaged me on Instagram. Her name was Monica. We had no mutual friends. Her message read, "Was the cabin in San Luis, near the lake? Did it have a stone fireplace and a long mirror in the bathroom?" I told her yes. Her reply was immediate. "The same thing happened to us. A year ago. We didn't know what to do. He told us the same thing. For security. But then things started happening. You're not alone." My skin crawled. Monica shared her story with me. Photos. Details. Everything matched. And she wasn't the only one. There were more people. Women. Few dared to speak. Some were too scared. Others didn't want to relive it. But there was a pattern. And someone was covering it up. I don't know how far this goes. I don't know if I'm being watched right now. But one thing is clear. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't carelessness. It was planned, systematic, silent, and the only way to stop it is to speak up. But the fear is just beginning. I've never been a brave person. Not one of those who confront fear and yell at the darkness that they're not afraid. I've always preferred the safety of what's known, what's controlled. That's why, when things started to spiral out of control, I found myself paralyzed by a nauseating mix of anger, uncertainty, and a terror that wouldn't let me sleep. It was Monday morning. Sophia still wasn't answering. I had left her 3 voice messages and several missed calls. I was worried, but I was also starting to worry about myself, about what had begun to surround me. I was in the kitchen, in front of my open laptop, watching the video of the mirror over and over again. There it was, the small black, right in the center, right where you don't notice it until you know it's there. I paused the video, zoomed in. The flash reflection revealed a faint metallic glint inside the hole. A lens. There was no doubt. What there was fear. Then the doorbell rang. I jumped. Literally. I felt the blood rush to my face, as if someone had opened a floodgate inside me. It was 10:43 a.m. I wasn't expecting anyone. I approached slowly, without making a sound. I peeked through the peephole. It was a man. Dark-skinned, thin, wearing a blue cap and a jacket that read, "Express Courier." But he wasn't holding a package. Nothing in his hands. Nothing. My heart started pounding so hard I felt the throbbing in my throat. I didn't open the door. I stayed there, motionless, watching as the man knocked again. This time harder. 3 times. Firm. Like he knew I was there. "Miss Laura," he said. His voice was deep, calm, far too calm. "I've come to talk to you about the post you made on the forum. We want to resolve this civilly." I didn't respond. I didn't breathe. Nothing. He waited a few seconds. Then he muttered something I didn't understand and left. I didn't hear footsteps going down the stairs. I didn't hear the building door close. Just silence. Thick silence. I stepped away from the door, as if it were a lit oven. I called Sophia. Nothing. I called again. Nothing. And then I decided to do something. I got dressed, took the laptop, a notebook, and left. I wasn't going to stay locked inside. I couldn't. I rushed down the stairs, looking in every direction. The guy was gone. Or, at least, not in sight. I went to a coffee shop I used to frequent near the university. A small place, smelling of freshly baked bread and wooden tables worn by the years. I sat in the back corner, facing the door, as if that would make me feel safer. It didn't. From there, I contacted Monica. It took her a while to respond, but when she did, she asked me to call her. I did. Her voice sounded shaky, like she was speaking from a room with the curtains closed. Laura, this goes beyond what you think. What exactly happened to you? Asked her. I was taking notes in the notebook like some amateur reporter. Monica took a deep breath. I went with my sister. It was a weekend trip, like yours. And we also found the camera. But what happened afterward was worse. What happened? We started receiving messages. Photos. Photos of us inside the bathroom. Of her changing clothes. Of me in my underwear. They were sent from fake accounts. With horrible phrases.
Threats.
Comments. It was like they had been watching us even before. Like they knew exactly what would hurt us the most. I felt a chill run through me. Did you go to the police?
Yes.
At first. But there was no proof of who did it. They said it could have been a hacker. An accident. They recommended we delete the accounts and let it go. And you didn't do anything else? My sister had a breakdown. She shut everything down.
Quit her job.
Moved away.
I
became obsessed. I started investigating. And what I found was worse. She paused for a moment. I waited in silence. There are more cabins. More properties. Not just the one in San Luis. There are others in different areas, with the same pattern. Same style. Same mirrors. Same excuse of the security system. But the owners change names. Profiles. The accounts disappear and reappear with different information. It's like someone or several people are using Airbnb as a front for something bigger. I stayed silent. I didn't know what to say. I wrote to you because I saw your video. And because I know you're in danger now too. I looked out the window. A white van was parked across from the cafe. I hadn't noticed it before. The driver was wearing a cap.
Blue.
I got back home 2 hours later. I checked 3 times to make sure no one was following me. I locked the door. Secured the chain. Closed all the curtains.
My phone rang. It was Sophia.
Finally, I answered immediately. Sophie, where are you? Are you okay?
Her voice was dry.
Robotic. Laura, have you said anything? To anyone?
What?
Of course. I told a woman who went through the same thing. And I posted about the mirror, even though they deleted it.
Why?
What's going on? They came to my house. What? Last night. They knocked on the door. I didn't open. But this morning I found an envelope under the doormat. With a photo of me. From the cabin. I sat down on the floor. It can't be. There was also a piece of paper. It said, "This is not a game. Stay away." I didn't know what to do. Whether to cry. To scream. To run to her house. But she kept talking. Laura, I'm scared. I've never felt this vulnerable in my life. Me too, I said, my voice breaking. So what do we do now? We make this known. We make sure they can't keep doing it. We have to gather everything. Photos. Messages.
Testimonies.
Whatever we can. There was a long silence. What if they heard us? They already did, Sophia. Now it's our turn to respond. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed in the living room. Laptop on my lap, browsing forums, hidden groups, old pages where women shared similar stories. One in North Carolina. Another in Barcelona. A third in Argentina. Different countries, same pattern. Rental rooms, hidden cameras, threats, silence. I opened a folder on my desktop. Airbnb case. Inside. Videos, photos, screenshots. Messages. Voice notes. A diagram with arrows, trying to connect everything. The paranoia grew. I felt like I was being watched. Like my laptop wasn't safe. Like someone was watching me through the camera. I covered it with tape. Turned off the Wi-Fi. Put my phone in airplane mode. As if that would be enough. And then, at 3:47 a.m., I received a Telegram message. From an anonymous account. You have until tomorrow to delete everything. If not, we'll release what we have on you. It was a photo.
Me.
In the shower. Taken from the exact angle of the mirror. I froze. Felt water stream from my eyes and couldn't stop it. I couldn't breathe. It wasn't just fear. It was humiliation. Exposure. The certainty that I no longer had control over my own body. over what they had done to it. That was the moment everything changed. I stood up from the floor, went to the kitchen, opened the cupboard where I kept some old boxes, took out my old digital camera, a Canon I hadn't used since university, put in batteries, inserted a new memory card. "Now we all play," I whispered. The next day, I met with Monica at a different cafe. In broad daylight, public, with people around. She was younger than I'd imagined. She looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. She had a yellow folder under her arm.
"This is what I have," she said.
Inside, emails, IP addresses, cloned profiles, cross-referenced records from different Airbnbs with similar data. It all looked like something out of a spy movie. But it was real, very real. "We're not dealing with just some guy," she said. "This is a network. And we're not the only victims." My hands were shaking. "What do we do with all this?" "I already have something started. But I need you to get more cases. People who will talk, who won't stay silent. If we get 5 or 6 solid testimonies, we can send it to someone bigger. The media, agencies, whatever. But we can't stop." I looked her in the eye, and I knew I wasn't alone. Not completely. That night, when I got home, I noticed something strange. My door was slightly open. Not fully, just a millimeter. A detail so small it might have gone unnoticed if I hadn't locked it. 2 turns and a chain. My blood froze. I took a step back, looked around. The hallway was empty. Everything looked normal. But it wasn't. I took out my phone, turned on the camera, recorded as I slowly opened the door. "Hello?" I said, with the firmest voice I could muster. Nothing. I walked in. The couch was askew. A pillow on the floor. And the worst part, the laptop was on even though I had shut it down completely. And on the screen, an open window. A video call. Silent. But on the other side, only a mirror was visible. A mirror identical to the one in the cabin's bathroom, with a shadow behind it. A motionless figure, staring at me. Before I could react, the window closed on its own. Black screen. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just knew this wasn't just a warning anymore. It was war, and they had just crossed the line. After closing the laptop lid, I stayed still for almost an hour. The figure in the mirror, that faceless reflection, that silent shadow, was seared into my mind like a burn. I couldn't erase its presence. I couldn't stop imagining if it was still there. If it was watching me now. If it had been watching me all along. If the mirror was a door, and I was on the wrong side. My home was no longer a refuge. It was a trap. I walked slowly through each room, checked every corner, every outlet, every lamp, even the frames on the wall. My heart pounded violently, as if my body knew nothing was normal anymore, that the reality I knew had been corrupted by a silent invasion. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I didn't shower. I sat on the floor of the hallway, in front of the front door, with a kitchen knife in my hand. As if that would help. Fear had become my oxygen. At dawn, I received another message. This time, not on Telegram, not from a hidden number.
No.
This time it went straight to my personal email. Subject: "You're not helping anyone." Attachment: a video. I opened it with trembling hands. In the video, I was sleeping. In my bed. Recorded from a ceiling corner I swore was empty. My body moved under the sheets, unconscious, breathing softly. In the bottom right corner, the exact date and time of the previous day. "They're here," I screamed, throwing the laptop away. I ran to my room, checked the corners, the ceiling, the desk lamp, the air conditioner. I found a tiny slot just above the door frame, the size of a nail, barely visible. I inserted a needle and touched something metallic. A click. A faint vibration. A camera. I felt my stomach drop like a stone. I left immediately, grabbed only the essentials. The laptop, the hard drive, the folder with printed copies of everything I had. I left in pajamas, hair a mess. Ran down the building stairs like a hunted animal, with a visceral certainty that if I stayed a minute longer, they'd erase me. From history. From everything. I went straight to Sophia's house. Knocked desperately. She opened in a robe, eyes red, face swollen. "What happened to you?" "They're in my house. They put a camera in my room. They filmed me sleeping." Her eyes widened. "Laura, I can't stay there. I can't. I won't be safe anywhere. Not without knowing what this is. Not without doing something. Come in. Let's talk." I walked in as if entering an air raid shelter. She locked the door, drew the curtains. Sophia was the kind of person who had fake security cameras in her living room for aesthetic, for irony. Now, neither of us could look at a lens without feeling sick. We sat on the floor, face to face, and talked. Finally, we cried. We hugged. I told her everything. The man who came to my house, the messages, the video, the figure in the mirror. She confessed she had also received messages that someone had broken into her physical mailbox and left a handwritten note. It said, "Silent women live longer." We had no network, no resources, no one behind us, just us. And the folder. The folder became our shield. That night, we decided to contact other victims. Monica gave us the contacts of 3 more women. One in Cuenca, another in Medellin, a third in a town in Texas. They used fake names, but spoke with real fear. There were patterns in every story. Airbnb, relaxing weekend getaways, large mirrors, hidden devices, subtle threats, partial refunds as a way to silence. And always, the feeling of being watched. One of them, Sarah, told us something else. "A friend of mine disappeared," she said on a call. After posting in a forum, she had proof, screenshots, videos. She had everything. And then she just vanished. Her phone was disconnected, her apartment emptied, her email account deleted. No one knows where she is. Sophia looked at me. I said nothing, but we understood. This wasn't just harassment, it was a structure. The next few days, we barely left Sophia's apartment. We played music to distract ourselves, spoke in low voices, covered our device cameras, kept our phones off and only used them for basic things. We didn't trust anything, not the walls, not the mirrors, not even ourselves. On the 3rd day, we decided it was time to do something bigger. We couldn't keep being spectators of our own hell. We sat down and wrote a report, 12 pages, with evidence, account names, locations, screenshots. We turned it into a PDF, gave it the most neutral name possible, technical_collaboration_proposal 2023. Uploaded it to a password-protected drive. Now we needed a way in, a place to drop the bomb without it being deleted right away. And we found it, an independent blog, small, run by a journalist who had covered harassment cases on rental apps. It wasn't mainstream, but it was serious. She'd done deep investigations. She had a reputation. We wrote to her from a new account, sent her everything. She replied in 45 minutes. "What you're saying is extremely serious. I'm interested, but I need more proof. Something irrefutable. Would you be willing to speak over video with me and my editor?" We looked at each other. What if it's a trap? Sophia asked. I don't know. But if we don't do this, it won't matter who's recording us. They'll erase us anyway. We scheduled the call for the next night. We connected from a public library. External network. Borrowed devices. The journalist, Elena, appeared on screen. Short hair, direct gaze. Next to her, a man who didn't introduce himself. They listened for over an hour. We showed everything, answered questions. They didn't interrupt us once. At the end, Elena said, "It's not the first time I've heard something like this. But this is the first time I've seen it with proof." Her colleague nodded. "We're going to follow this," he added. "But you need to be careful. You're not alone anymore." That's good and bad. They hung up. We didn't know whether to feel relieved or terrified. That same night, when we returned to Sophia's apartment, everything was off. The door was unlocked, the kitchen a mess, the lights blown. We walked in with a mix of rage and desperation. Nothing was taken. Something was left. A sheet of paper, written in red ink. Not printed. It simply said, "Next time it won't be paper." And below, in larger handwriting, "We warned you." The paper smelled of men's cologne. Sophia collapsed to the floor. I stayed standing, staring at that paper like it was a dead animal. I folded it, put it in a bag and stored it. Every threat was another piece of the puzzle. 2 days later, we woke up to a notification. Elena had published, not an article, not yet, but a post on her blog. "I'm investigating a case of covert surveillance through rental properties. If you or someone you know has experienced something similar, write.
Don't delete.
Don't stay silent." It was like lighting a match in a cave. In less than 3 hours, there were 12 comments. By 8 hours, 47. By midnight, over 100. Women.
Testimonies.
Similar stories. Some men too. One comment, and signed, said, "I saw you, both of you, in the cabin. You danced in front of the mirror. You didn't know you were already part of the archive." Sophia threw up in the sink. I kept reading that sentence over and over again. Part of the archive. We didn't know what was going to happen. But the next day, Elena went offline. Her blog was down. Her account deleted. Her number, no tone. And in our inbox, the new message. "See what happens when you speak. You're on the next level now. You can't go back." Attached, a recording, a traffic camera.
Us.
Crossing the street, from the library to the station, filmed from afar,
Watched.
as if we were prey in a game we never agreed to play. That was the breaking point. There was no turning back.
No shelter.
And we knew that the next move had to hurt them, or we disappear. 3 days. That's how long the calm lasted before reality collapsed again. 3 days hiding in a small downtown hostel, paid in cash, without using our real names. 3 days without using phones, without checking emails, without opening social media. We barely ate. We barely slept. Sophia hardly spoke. I spent hours writing down everything I remembered, making lists, summaries, trying to piece together the names, the places, the dates. Trying to feel like I had control over something. Until the hostel door shook. It was 5:12 in the morning. I was awake, as always, staring at the cracked ceiling. One knock.
2.
3. And a voice. "Hand over what you have, Laura. We know everything." It was a man's voice. Firm. Almost polite. Like a receptionist asking for the breakfast bill. Sophia sat up abruptly in bed. She looked at me. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. They had already found us. I opened the nightstand drawer. I grabbed the rusty knife we had stolen from the restaurant downstairs. Not because it would do anything, but because I needed to hold it. We tiptoed to the door. I crouched and looked through the gap at the bottom. Shoes. Black. 2 pairs. Still. Motionless. "You don't need to be afraid," another voice said, younger, drier. "We're just here to make sure no injustice is committed." They knocked again.
Harder this time.
More impatient. "If we don't open," Sophia whispered, "they're going to come in." And then something inside me snapped. I don't know if it was fear, exhaustion, or just pure frustration. I stood up. I pulled the side curtain aside. Down on the street, a black car with the headlights off was waiting. Inside, another man. I saw his profile. He was eating an apple. It was all so normal. So fucking normal. I turned to Sophia. "Get ready," I told her. "This is no longer an investigation. It's war." They didn't open the door. They didn't force anything. They just left, as if they were mere messengers of something bigger. Something we still couldn't grasp, but they left a card.
White.
No text. Just a symbol. A broken mirror. Embossed. I squeezed it until it left a mark on my palm. That same day, we looked for an old friend of mine, Emma. Forensic IT student. A geek about servers, deep webs, the things you don't find with ordinary searches. We told her the essentials. Not everything. Just enough. "I need to know if someone has remote access to my laptop," I told her. She greeted us with a skeptical look, but it didn't take long for her to take it seriously. "Who sent you that shower video?" "I don't know." "Did you have your camera covered?" "Yes." "Then they didn't record it from your laptop." She went silent. She opened the laptop, connected it to her system, typed rapidly, looked at codes, routes, open ports. Then she stopped. "This isn't home surveillance," she said. "It's military-grade software." "What?" "This is a type of backdoor that doesn't get installed from a regular app. It's something that infiltrates directly into the hardware. Developed by security contractors. Companies that work with governments. We're not talking about some guy in his basement." My blood froze. Sophia covered her mouth. Emma looked at us. "Do you two really know what you've gotten yourselves into?" We went back to the hostel in silence. We didn't speak for hours. Every time a guest walked down the hall, we jumped. Every phone notification felt like a threat. But it wasn't paranoia. Not after what Emma had shown us. Around midnight, I checked the drive where we had uploaded all the information. It was empty. Someone had deleted it. Everything.
No trasvin.
No history. No traces. My hands trembled. I couldn't breathe. It was like they had ripped away the only weapon we had. "This can't be happening," I shouted. Sophia covered her ears. "I don't even know what's real anymore, Laura." "It's not over," I told her, grabbing my backpack. "I have a copy. On the hard drive. In the gray folder. In the hidden compartment." She looked at me. A mixture of hope and terror. What if they already know that? Then I want them to see it. We went back to my parent house. A forgotten place. Far from the city. I told them it was a quick visit. I didn't explain anything. They didn't ask. They just let us in. I locked myself in my old room. Looked for the folder. It was intact. I opened it. Checked the hard drive. The files were there. But when I opened one of the videos, I noticed something strange. A reflection. A mirror. And not the one from the Airbnb. Another one. One I didn't remember recording. In the video, I was standing in front of the mirror from my childhood bathroom.
But it wasn't me.
Or not entirely. The woman in the reflection had my body, my clothes, my posture. But the eyes, they weren't mine. They were looking directly at the camera. as if she knew she was being watched. I rewound the video, watched it again. I don't remember being there. I don't remember that moment. I don't remember moving like that. Or making that expression. It was like someone else was imitating me. I felt a spasm. Like my body shook from the inside. Sophia touched my shoulder. What's wrong? There's a video where I'm me, but I'm not me. What? I showed her. What are you saying? That someone filmed me in this mirror. But it wasn't me. I was never there. I didn't do that. I didn't wear that. I didn't look like that. And then we understood. It wasn't just surveillance. It was impersonation. They weren't just watching us. They were creating versions of us.
Fabrikated Videos.
With artificial intelligence. With fragments. With data. With all the tiny movements they collected for weeks, months. They could reconstruct us. Imitate us. Manipulate our gestures. Our voices. Our bodies. And no one would know. That night, I looked at myself in the mirror of my old room, and for the first time in my life, I didn't recognize myself. I saw a woman with a face cracked by fear, with dilated pupils, tense shoulders. But there was something else, a subtle tremor, a barely noticeable vibration, as if the image wasn't a reflection, as if whatever was on the other side had learned to look far too much like me. Since then, I distrust every mirror, every lens, every reflection. Sophia and I no longer use our real names. We moved. Not out of cowardice, but because the images they stole from us no longer belong to us. They circulate in spaces where souls get lost. And the worst part is that new victims are already booking. Today I checked a recent listing on Airbnb. Rustic cabin. Near the forest. Large windows. Stone fireplace. And in the background, a long, rectangular mirror, perfectly centered. Positive reviews. Unforgettable stay. But one review, among all of them, made me stop. 5 stars. Thank you, Hugo. My daughter and I felt right at home. We'll be back. Date. Yesterday. There is no happy ending. There is no justice. There's only another booking, another mirror, and another woman who doesn't yet know she's already part of the archive.